Hello, welcome to Health Professional Radio. Thank you for joining us on the program today. I'm your host, Neal Howard. Our guest today is Managing Director of BioCeuticals. Now, BioCeuticals is a practitioner-only supplier of nutritional supplements, and he's here today to talk with us about the growth of BioCeuticals, what's going on with BioCeuticals, some upcoming news and new launches. Welcome to the program, Mr. Nathan Cheong.
Thanks for having me, Neal.
Now, you are the managing director of BioCeuticals. Prior to taking the role of managing director, you were general manager of Herbs of Gold. Talk about your experience with supplemental nutrition.
Yeah, sure. So my background is I'm a naturopath, and prior to that, I was a psychologist and social worker, and have been in the health industry for around 25 years. Mm-hmm. I made the change into naturopathy when I guess I experienced the benefits of naturopathic medicine and holistic health personally, and was just astounded by the fact that we are, as individuals, we predominantly treat symptoms when we go and see a GP or a physician, and we're not dealing with the cause. So that kind of got me into the field of naturopathy, and I was a practitioner and still am a practitioner for probably around 15 years. Started in practice, had a health food store, mm-hmm. practiced out of the health food store, and then got into a little bit of consulting on the side. And so I was approached by a company, Herbs of Gold, to revamp their supplement range, which I was doing as a consultant, and then got more and more involved with that company. And the next thing I know, I'm the sales and marketing manager and then general manager a short time later. Whilst in that role, I guess I became very much immersed in the culture of complementary medicine and the complementary medicine industry, and really cut my teeth on formulation of products, because that was my passion back at Herbs of Gold, and applying those new formulations into the retail space, educating practitioners in the space to be able to sell the products, and then to a point where we grew that business. We were growing year on year, probably around about 15%, and then the opportunity came up to work for BioCeuticals, which was a healthcare professional-only brand, as you mentioned before. And the opportunity around BioCeuticals was really something that I was very passionate about, because it brought me back to my roots around practitioner-only products for practitioners. And so that sort of brought me into BioCeuticals, and I was lucky enough to be successful to get that position. BioCeuticals, as you talked about, is a healthcare professional range. We are the largest healthcare professional-only product company in Australia, and we are owned by Blackmores. Now, Blackmores is the largest complementary medicine brand in Australia in the retail space. So we're very much aligned with regards to our philosophy in terms of natural medicine, and we're very dedicated to education and marketing of those products.
Now, BioCeuticals has recently sponsored a symposium with many people taking the podium to talk about their different philosophies, different methods, and different supplements. Talk a bit about the symposium.
Yeah, so every year we run a symposium, and we've been running that in Sydney for the last 3 to 4 years. This year we were lucky enough to have an array of amazing speakers. We had David Perlmutter, who I guess is he's very well known throughout the complementary medicine industry. David spoke on obviously the gut health. And gut health, we had Dr. Alessio Fasano, and Dr. Alessio Fasano from Boston University, who discovered zonulin. Dr. Alessio spoke for a number of hours, and then he ran a workshop in the afternoon around zonulin. And we had Dr. Deanna Minich and Dr. Andrew Heyman. So it's an interesting format that we have with the symposium. So we don't run a whole lot of plenaries. We run a plenary two plenaries in the morning, and then we run workshops related to those plenaries in the afternoon. So our participants will really become immersed in the speaker's topics, and they go deep. So when I say we go deep, I mean we really get into the nitty-gritty of the conditions that we're speaking of, the treatment protocols. We do a hell of a lot around case studies. The case studies in the afternoon that we that are presented, it's really an interactive, I guess, tutorial, for want of a better word, and where the delegates can really ask a lot of questions. They can get into the real, minutiae of the cases, and it's proved to be an incredibly successful format. We've had over 500 doctors and naturopaths and chiropractors and pharmacists attend this year's symposium to rave reviews. So it's a really successful format, and it's one that we're going to be continuing next year.
Right. Now you're branching out in some different areas. What about IsoWay? Is that a subsidiary of BioCeuticals?
Yeah, so IsoWay is our, our weight management protein range of products. It's a brand that we has been around for probably around about 15 years as well. It grew out of, it was the brainchild of Dr. Robert Buist here in Australia, and Dr. Robert Buist still works with us at BioCeuticals and IsoWay. IsoWay is a range of protein supplements. It's a clean product range. So what I mean by clean is that it contains no artificial sweeteners. It contains no artificial flavors, preservatives. It is completely whey protein concentrate and whey protein isolate. So we don't use soy proteins, milk solids, skim milk powder, etc. So it's none of that. So it's extremely hypoallergenic, extremely clean. Now the IsoWay range is sold in pharmacies in Australia and health food stores. Part of the IsoWay range, we also have a range called IsoWay Whole Foods, which is our whole foods and superfoods range, and then we have another branch of that called IsoWay Sports. Now, IsoWay Sports is again, it's an extremely clean range of products, and we've developed those products in conjunction with a number of high-profile elite athletes and teams to benefit them with regards to their training, recovery, pre-training formulations. And we are the sponsor of a cycling team in Australia, which is the Avanti IsoWay Sports cycling team, and they're the most successful cycling team in Australia. So they're doing really well with the products. They're doing really well themselves, and they're actually a feeder team to Sky Cycling. And I'm sure some of your listeners will know the Sky team who ride in Tour de France.
As a psychologist, have you or did you notice an effect on mental function when you began to delve into naturopathy?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. I think whilst has been very skilled and very a lot of experience in the cognitive behavioural therapies and different types of psychological interventions. What I found really interesting was when I was in practice was when you take those modalities or those interventions and you par them or connect them with therapies around herbal therapies, nutritional therapies. When you start really healing the gut and improving gut function, and then putting over the top of that nervous restoratives and anxiolytics, depending on the condition that you're treating, you get this amazing, effect that you wouldn't normally get just by a psychological intervention. So it's a really powerful, suite of interventions when you actually take them and then combine them with traditional psychological treatments. So what I found was that you would get people healthy to a point, but then when you overlay, diet, lifestyle factors, when you get people sleeping better, when you take away the inflammation, when you treat the gut, you actually get a real ramping up of people getting better, and it's almost light day with regards to the results of the treatment. So yeah, absolutely. It's incredible what we see with regards to understanding the gut, understanding how the gut impacts the mind, and understanding how inflammation is part of that as well. So whilst I'm not as hands-on in terms of my my practice these days, I still see it through our customers and through our healthcare professionals who are out there treating in this manner.
You've been listening to Health Professional Radio. I'm your host, Neal Howard. And in studio today with us is Mr. Nathan Cheong, Managing Director of BioCeuticals and IsoWay. He has well more than 13 years experience in the complementary medicine industry. Now, prior to taking on the role of Managing Director, Nathan was the General Manager of Herbs of Gold, which is a subsidiary of a publicly listed company, Vita Life Science. And he's been in studio today with us talking about BioCeuticals, his role in BioCeuticals, and the growth and expansion of BioCeuticals today. It's been a pleasure talking with you in studio today, Nathan.
Thanks, Neal.
Transcripts and audio of this program are available at healthprofessionalradio.com.au and also at hpr.fm, and you can subscribe to our podcast on iTunes.